Good evening. It's 5:15 and it's time for the November meeting of the Sister Cities Commission of New Ulm. Ellie, would you please take the roll?
You want me to say my name first? Ellie Sweeney. I'll speak for Jane. Jane Mayday Hulkey.
Carol Marty Smith.
Larry Mack.
Dick Seaboth?
John Forward.
We had a question. Do we have enough for a quorum?
It's a commission's 9 and we've got 5. That's a majority. That being said, motion to approve the minutes from October 6th would be in order.
I'll offer a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The financial reports have been presented to you in great detail, and the highlights were the stipend for Sam, our last Bratstand profit from August looks really good at $259.50, and then some payments out for various items such as the welcome party for Sam and some repairs on the kiosk. So a motion on accepting the financial reports as presented would be in order.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're on to the Hansios Cultural Exchange Program. And in a few minutes, we'll be having a Zoom meeting with our outbound person from last year, Martha. And in the interim, I'd like to call on Sam Knopes to let us know what he's been doing the last month.
Hello, I've been doing a lot. Okay, where do I start? My last trip, last week, was to South Dakota and Wyoming. I got to see the Badlands, Mount Rushmore, Crazy Horse, Wall Rock, Devil's Tower in Wyoming, to name a few things. I presented a speech in front of the Rotary Club, New Ulm. I've been invited to the German Speaking Club, also New Ulm. I helped at the Legion packing Halloween treats and stuffed animals for the children for Halloween with Jim Bartels, my host father right now. I've been in several other departments at work. This week I'm at upstairs packaging. Last week I attended filling room. I've been to the kegging line and mixing root beer myself. And before that, I've been to the cellars all this month. So I came around, and the next 2 weeks I'll be in the lab, and then my stay will already be over, sadly. And I met Martha on Saturday. Yeah, we went to the Martin Luther College game against Northwestern together.
Oh. Sam, who did you go to out west with?
With Rick Isbell. He took me there.
Nice.
I'll also go to Granite Falls this Saturday with him to the World War II Museum. And we have tickets for the Vikings game against the Chicago Bears on the 16th of November. I'll also do that with Rick as well. Yeah, a lot happened.
Well, you've had as much activity as most of us have in a year, so it's wonderful. Any questions of Sam?
Well, Sam, I just briefly visited you before the meeting. I was asking you what you thought of our brewing process versus in Germany, and maybe you can share a couple details that might be significant.
So The process basically is the same, but of course here you don't have the German purity law. So here in America, you can, for example, use sugar to get fermentation going way quicker. And for shells, for example, they do high gravity brewing. So that means you put way more sugar or malt in the beginning and then water it down to the percentage of alcohol you want in the end. So especially shells is limited by space. So that's a good way to do it if you're limited by space to produce more beer than you usually could if you brew right to the Plato percentage you give the beer out. And my brewery at home, we have way more space, so we don't need to do that. It's also the bigger breweries in Germany, they do high gravity brewing because it goes faster and it's way cheaper because you can store much more beer in the beginning, or less beer you can water down in the end. So you need less storage space for it and can produce more in the end. And what else? Of course, the flavor stuff, peanut butter chocolate porter, for example. And at least my brewery we would never do that. But it tastes really good.
Okay.
And a recommendation, this year's Snowstorm is also really, really good.
What style is it?
It's a dark, I don't know the style exact, but it's a very dark beer. Very, very flavorful.
Okay.
But it would not be called a porter?
No, not a porter.
Would it be considered like a dunkel?
I think, yeah, more a dunkles, yeah. But really good. I like it.
Sam, do you work at the Golden or Ox? And
Yes, I work at Gold Oxen at home.
How big is the Golden Ox Brewery in, say,
So we use hectoliters. So at beer, we do roughly about 240,000 hectoliters per year. And we do way more in soft drinks and pops. So another, I think, let me lie, I think it's like 300,000 hectoliters of soft drinks.
our brewery, is it in size, just physically, are they comparable or is Gold Oxen much larger?
We are larger.
Okay.
The beer part, I think, is roughly the same. But of course, the soft drink part makes us way bigger then. Yeah. And we don't distribute the area that Shells does. Because like Shells, you can get up north in Minnesota and over in where else, Illinois, and I don't know where you can buy it. But of course, Shells distributes way more than we do in Germany.
Well, when your beer is that good, you don't have to ship it a long way to get to sell it.
That's true. Yeah.
How was your time with the Concord Singers attending events?
Really good. I only had the chance by now to sing with them once on stage, but my next time will be on the 11th of November at, where is it?
Veterans Day at Cathedral. 10
Veterans
a.m.
Day Cathedral. And then I think the next one is the 22nd at State Street Theater.
For our community concert type thing that we'll be offering to the public, so.
Yeah. So I
We'll
have
have
two
a-
more options to
A guest star.
Will he be here for Flannel Fest?
Yes,
Oh, cool.
I'll attend.
Very nice.
Day before the day before the concert is Flannel Fest.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the ball by then has gained a lot of momentum. On the 23rd, you can catch your breath. On the 24th, it is suggested from the chair and others that we have our farewell party for you at the Kegel Club on Monday the 24th. And I understand your current host family, the Bartles, have offered to take you to the airport on November 25th.
Exactly, yeah.
That is a full schedule.
Yeah, I'll be busy the next few weeks still. Still, there's something to do every day. So,
Nice.
Well, any other questions of Sam? I will see him again on Thursday night at Concord Singer Practice. And we have, well, let's see if we can knock out some other ideas here. Let's talk about the recognition award. The people on the committee presently are Brian, John, Ellie, and Tony. And because our commission has shrunk, it's appropriate that there be 3 people on the committee, plus potential attendance by Gene and myself. Is there anybody of those 3 or those 4 that would like to take a year off?
This is my last year.
This is my first year, so I guess I don't care.
Well, because of that being your first year, you are less familiar with the possibility of historical people that would warrant being involved in the recognition award. So if you would step down for this year only, that would be appropriate.
I will do that.
Thank you. Now we need to come up with a date for when you're going to meet in here so we can get it cleared with the powers that be on the
Okay.
second floor.
So the other 2 on the committee are not here to ask if they're going to be available. But I can still get a hold of Lisa after I talk to them.
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay.
And then if you can bring a recommendation, December 1st.
Mm-hmm. Should be able to.
Excellent. And when you do get it scheduled, please make sure that Gene and I are aware so we can attempt to attend.
And Dick, it looks
Dick,
like
Martha's on.
Aha. And our timing is just about right. Welcome, Martha.
Hi. Are you able to hear me okay?
You're coming through beautifully.
Perfect.
All right, great.
You've had an exciting spring. Let us know what it all happened.
I'm sorry, say it again?
You've had an exciting spring and summer. Would you share your
Yes.
highlights?
Yeah, and I have a presentation of pictures. If I'm able to share it with you that you can see it somehow. I think it would add more to what I talk about, but if it's not possible, I understand.
Well, if you could hold them up next year yourself, you're coming through beautifully.
Or through
Okay.
your computer, or however.
Or maybe if I'll try sharing my screen. I'm not very, well, let's see if this works.
Got a lot of technology these days.
Right,
There you are.
I'm a teacher, and sometimes I don't use very much technology though when I teach. All right, I have my slides up. Are you able to see the slides?
Man,
Are you able to see the slides I have up?
We are.
Ken.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I was the Hansios candidate this past summer. I was there from start of June, end of May until August. And looking back on the time, I just am very, very grateful for the experiences I had from the Sister Cities Commission and from the City of New Ulm. And looking back, I think there's really, truly in no other circumstance could I or any other candidate who goes over experience this and this friendship that we have with our sister city. So I'm very grateful for having had this opportunity. I broke down what I would talk about briefly, mostly surrounding the people I met, because the people I met were just so very special. And then a couple trips about Ulm, and then the last one is just a trip I went with my host family on. I was very blessed to have stayed with the same host family for the whole summer. I don't think that's the typical situation, but the Yanni family took me in and I got to know them very well. And they were just a lovely, wonderful host family. They had 3 children, Benny, Hannah, and Tioni. And it just was very fun to be able to hang out with the kids and play with them, learn about their city through their eyes. And then my 2 host parents, Brigitte and Wolfgang, were both gynecologists at the university clinic. And my host dad, Wolfgang, was the director of the clinic. And again, my host family made my experience just truly wonderful. And it's difficult to put into words what it meant to spend 3 months with this family. But we'll stay in contact. We still are in contact. I was actually just in New Ulm this past weekend. I just got back last night, and I made sure I got New Ulm postcards to send the kids because I think it's just so cool that they share, our cities share the same name. I went from pretty much the prairie of Minnesota to the mountains within my first weekend in Germany. We went to the Allgäu, which is in the Alps. And again, my great host kids like to have fun, and we often saw cows just wandering through the mountains with their cowbells. That's just a very charming sound. This is typical of the Alps, where you can hike up your way through the mountains and then stop at this kind of a hut where you can get drinks, food, and enjoy the view. It's a very comfortable, very nice way of walking through the mountains. And yeah, this was, Ulm is, I think we drove only about an hour and a half to get here. And so it was really very close to the southern border and a very nice welcome to Germany experience. Just another shot of a cow. This is a picture of our breakfast at the mountains. And this is something that I miss often of German culture, of often eating bread, but also spending the time with the family and with the people to slowly eat a breakfast and take like the butter or the cheese, the jam, whatever you'd like for your breakfast. It's just a very comfortable way of dining with the people that you're with. But this for me is a nice memory of being with my host family there. And then I just went through this picture as well because I think that Germany and later when we were in Switzerland as well, they provide very nice children's activities for kids as they go through the mountains. This was an activity that went off of the history of Austria and Germany. In the past, salt was smuggled. And so the kids, you can kind of see, rubbed charcoal on their arms because they were the smugglers. And I and my host mom were the border guard. And the kids would run around or run ahead and complete activities through the mountains. And if they saw us coming behind them, they took off. They didn't want to be captured by us, by the border guards. But I thought it was just a very, very wonderful thing that the Germans and Swiss seem to do, and I'm sure the Austrians as well, just to provide nice activities for the children as they are in the nature. And then this is us at an evening meal. Again, it was just so special to be able to spend times like this with the people, with my host family especially. And then as I went through the summer, I met more and more people who invited me into their homes and treated me so well, and they are so dear to me. And it was just so interesting to step into their lives and see what they're about and how they live their lives in Ulm. And then just a mountain shot. I think it's typical that there are these crucifixes at some peaks, and we walked up to this peak. Just a beautiful area. Again, just a contrast to what I had known, especially in my area of the U.S. All right, so that was just that first weekend. I had gotten to the Allgäu, and then I returned to Ulm. And a lot of people have asked me how much I traveled around when I was there, but Besides the couple trips with my host family, I really wanted to be in Ulm, and I really wanted to see what this city was about. This is our sister city, and I wanted to see what made it tick. This is the city wall. On the left side of the picture is the city, and then on the right side is the river. And people can walk on the city wall, and they can walk below it. It's very comfortable. I thought it was just a high quality of life to be close to the river and have something so beautiful like this. I would often take my lunch breaks on this wall when I was in the downtown area for my internship. This is the Donau, or the Donau in English, the Danube River. And as you know, we are sister cities with Ulm and Neu-Ulm. Ulm is on the right side of this picture, and Neu-Ulm is on the left. And I heard a few times the phrase, the only good thing about Neu-Ulm is the view of Ulm. And I think that describes maybe the architecture, that Ulm is more of the older city type, and Neu-Ulm is more industrial. But I truly did not spend very much time in Neu-Ulm, which is in Bavaria, in Bayern, and then Baden-Württemberg is Ulm. I did not spend much time in Neu-Ulm. All of my activities revolved around Ulm. I went to Neu-Ulm a couple times though, and that's where a former American base was. And somebody took me on a quick tour through those streets. And then some of my friends also lived here on the river, technically in Neu-Ulm, but it was very close to the river. And then this is a view. This was not far from my host family's house, and maybe in the horizon, maybe my pointer shows up. This is the Münster church. It's the tallest church in the world, only to be surpassed by the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, I think soon. But beautiful church, which I'll show another picture of. But this is the skyline. And I think I wrote in one of my articles for the New Ulm Journal that I believe the settlers of New Ulm, Minnesota, thought that the landscape was similar. And it's true that there's a river and then these hills and a valley. And although it looks different now, I think back then that would hold true, that they looked fairly similar geographically. This is the Münster up close. I just saw Samuel Knops this weekend, and he mentioned that he's given presentations on the Münster. So I won't go into detail on this, but a beautiful church. It's difficult to describe just how striking it is to walk through this church. And the woodworking, all parts of it is just very, very intricate and interesting. And the city of Ulm gathered in this building only because of rain to hear the speech of their mayor on Schwormontag, they call it. And it's kind of like the State of the Union for this city, where he just goes through what they've done in the past year, what they're looking forward to in the future. And they only gathered inside the church because it was raining. Typically that's outside at a specific location, at a house in the city. But it was interesting and very cool to see the whole city gather, and the church was as full as it could be. They had to stop people from coming inside because it was at capacity. And it was cool to see in that setting how much the city of Ulm cared about its traditions and its city. One more shot from inside the cathedral, or it's not a cathedral, it's a church, but it's very beautiful. This is a local library that's very intricate and elaborate, but I went here with my host mom and host daughter, and they just, again, were so willing to show me around their area, and they showed me this beautiful place. This is inside the Ulmer Zelt, the Ulm tent, a concert I went to. And so that's just kind of a brief overview of Ulm, but like I said earlier, the people I met were just so special to me, and they were so willing to show me their city, which I thought was very welcoming and very cool. And I would especially thank the Rotary Club of Ulm. They are the people that I'm referring to. They really stepped up and made this exchange incredible. I had very limited, I would say, contact with the city Ulm. There was a welcome cafe. we had coffee when I arrived about a month after my arrival. But the Rotary Club of Ulm and the people in that Rotary Club were just so welcoming to me, and they really embraced my stay there. So these kind of meals were for me particularly special because that's when you really get to know people and hear them converse and hear what they're about. These are at some relatives of my host family in Augsburg, in about an hour and a half away by train. A member of the Rotary Club took me on a tour of his business. I referenced this in one of my articles. This was for me so cool to see the businesses of Ulm. I was just curious in what was the economy like? What do people do in Ulm? And he was part of, I should say, a scaffolding building business. This is Michael and Connie Leibinger, and again, they're just so dear to me. They love their city, and they love that I was interested in their city, and they took me under their wing and brought me into their home on several occasions. This picture is a little bit, the lighting is kind of different because it was at a parade of lights on their river, a Lichter Serenade. And the city, you can kind of see the people behind on the other side. Thousands of people are here, and I would guess even hundreds of thousands, to watch thousands of little lights float down the river. The city arranged that they would let these lights float down. It was just very beautiful and part of their festivities that weekend. But I can't say enough about Michael and Connie. They are just so dear, and I just learned a lot about their city from them, and it was just so wonderful to be with them. My host mom was part of an optimists club in the city, and so I met more women here. The woman, here's my cursor, this is Hannelore Schungel, and she gave tours to New Ulm people who came over back in the day, especially our mayors. She mentioned Mayor Ted Fritchie, and I know she gave tours to other mayors as well. And she just really lit up when I, by chance, met her through my host mom, that I was from New Ulm, Minnesota. And so that was for me very special that this connection between the two cities carried on. This was probably 30 years after the fact. And it was just so cool. And so because of that connection, she invited me to her home for a meal with these other women in this Optimist Club. And here we are at the dinner. And again, it was just so cool for me to have this connection across the ocean. Ulm is quite a bit bigger than New Ulm, but this woman who I by chance met had remembered fondly giving tours to residents of and representatives of New Ulm, Minnesota. This is the brewery that our current intern, Samuel Knops, works at in Ulm, Gold Oxen. And I met him at the Welcome Cafe invitation for me, and then he graciously gave me a tour through his brewery. And he met up with me a couple times over the summer, and that was, again, so cool. Again, there's just no other circumstance where where young people can meet other young people of their cities and learn from each other. And this is not a picture from Germany, but this is actually in Sweet Haven Tonics from a couple days ago when I was in New Ulm and I visited Samuel. I got to show him my hometown around a little bit. And then Annika Fischer is here. She invited me to run in a race around the Münster in downtown Ulm. And yeah, again, just a very cool connection. She had just been in New Ulm, Minnesota the previous year, and it was so bizarre in a way to hear a German in Germany explain to me auf Deutsch in German about my hometown, New Ulm, what she had seen. It was just kind of strange to have that kind of event happen. But Annika is, again, it was very nice to meet her and spend time with her as well. Just more examples of the people of the Rotary Club. Norbert Balt invited me to go with his family and his children to Saturday Night Fever, which was performed at this Wilhelmsburg in Ulm, an outdoor theater. Later that summer, it was a concert venue of the same location. I put this picture in only to remember to tell the story of teaching my host children the American game Marco Polo in the pool, where kids yell out Marco, Marco, and then the person who's running away says Polo. They had never played that game before, and they thought it was quite fun. After I taught that to them, we played it all summer long. Just some more people. Some Ukrainians who were living in my host family's basement were very dear, and then a relative of my host family. I don't want to go on for too long of the many people I met, but I can't say enough how these people made my experience so special. Another gathering. These are all Germans that I'm conversing with. A member of the Rotary Club happened to be a Mason on the Munster, and he gave me a tour to the rooftop of the Munster. Again, an example of the just graciousness of the Rotary Club to take the time to do that for me. And it was an experience I'll truly never forget. It was just fascinating, and I was at the rooftop. I was on top of the Munster. Just very, very cool. Here's another picture of that. And then his wife actually happened to be part of the Haus der Gestaltung in Ulm, which was a school that means school. I said it wrong. Hochschule, but a different word. Hochschule der Gestaltung, the School of Design in Ulm. And she gave me a tour through this. And you can kind of have an idea of what the style was through this picture. These are. I'll speak briefly on my internships. I know that I wrote to Lisa Pelzel, and she conveyed the message back to the Sister Cities Commission that my first internship was just not in the spirit of the program. So I won't go into too much detail. I think you have that message. But after about a month, after a couple of requests from me to have an internship that I would learn something about the city and do something. The previous internship involved sitting in an office in silence for hours during the day without doing much. And so I asked to have a different internship. And so afterwards, I started visiting schools in the area. So here is a quick picture of a classroom of second grade. And yes, so it was very interesting to learn. I had known of the different system of schooling, but to see hands-on, especially in the grade school level, I hadn't experienced before how Germans instruct. And also it opened my eyes to just how many immigrants have moved to Germany and to the city of Ulm. Many. Most of the time, the majority of the students in the classroom were speaking German as a second language. It was not their first language. And so it was just very interesting to see how the teachers navigated that and how they instructed through that. These are my host children walking to school. And these are their typical backpacks. They're just hardier, they're plastic, they're bigger than our American backpacks for children. And I was also able to go to my host children's school, which was again special because they knew me and I was kind of a celebrity just being the American. It was just a lot of fun to be with them. That's Yoni, one of my host kids on the way to school. And then after school was done at the end of July is when their summer break starts. I worked with a summer care program for children whose parents worked. And part of that involved going to a hostel, we would call it. And at this location, the children learned camping skills. And one of the things that is classic German, which I hadn't known, is that they toast bread on a stick. And one of the men who was working there had been an au pair, a nanny in Seattle, and he told me he had never heard of s'mores. And so we had a nice exchange of how he had learned about s'mores, I learned about bread on a stick. But they just wrapped the dough around the stick and then put it on top of the fire and cook it. All right, I did by representing New Ulm, this was my opening page to my presentation on New Ulm for the Rotary Club. I talked about the geography of New Ulm, where it is, a bit of the history, and then what the Hans Jost Exchange is, and then about New Ulm currently. And they were impressed. They had an audible reaction to, especially our like sand volleyball in downtown New Ulm, and also our festivals. I was very proud to say how lively New Ulm is and how active we are and how many tourists we bring to our city. And they also enjoyed, I had a picture of the Turner Hall basement where the paintings of the Rhine are. They also thought that was just very interesting that this town in Minnesota has paintings of the Rhine. A very German picture. But again, I was very proud to represent my hometown in this way and to be able to tell them all about New Ulm, Minnesota. Just some more activities, outdoor cafe, concert. I was interviewed on the radio about the exchange mostly. I think it's about an hour long, an interview about New Ulm, Minnesota, the exchange, Ulm, in German. I wrote about this in one of my articles, so I won't speak too long about it, but there was a traditional festival that only happens every 4 years. And I got to witness this parade. The sparrow is a symbol of the city. And then at the end of the festivities, the culminating event was a bit of jousting on the river. And this was even described this year in the National Geographic. And I got to witness it. And you can see half the crowd, again, hundreds of thousands of people there. And then on our bank, there were even more hundreds of thousands of people here to witness this. Also on that weekend, it was very busy. The city really was on the river in these floats. And kind of like a Mardi Gras on the river, because a lot of the floats were themed and built intentionally. And then the people just enjoyed throwing water at each other, floating on the river. It was just very festive and fun. A quick picture of the Vienna Philharmonic that played on the square in front of the Münster that I saw. Ernst Rapp, the man in the middle that I'm standing next to, is this year's president of the Rotary Club, and this is his family. Again, another example of they brought me to their home, they welcomed me to an evening meal. I had wonderful chats with them. And this was on another occasion, I went to the children's school's kind of like a graduation party. The children weren't graduating, but the end of the year had come. And the children showed me around their school as well. And I can't say enough how dear these people are. This is the school part of it. And it's it used to be, I think, I know it used to be a Catholic monastery. So it was a beautiful campus. I mentioned this in one of my articles as well. I was at a festival with the same family, that Ernst Rapp and his family, that celebrated 800 years of existence, this village. And this is the tent, the band at the front, and these tables. And to me, it didn't seem too far off of some of our festivities, which was, again, kind of a bizarre experience to be in a different country. And this is so charming, and it's also kind of familiar at the same time. This is Annika Fischer again. She works for Schwenk, a cement company, and she gave me a tour of her business, and her boss came along as well. And again, fascinating. And I spent the whole day with them. I was so grateful that they had taken the time to do that for me. And it was another example of just these connections that were made and how special that is. This is the last bit. This was toward the end of the summer. My host family had relatives in Luzern, Switzerland. And I went on the first leg with the kids. We took the train, which is very common in Germany. I do miss that, how convenient and how easy it is to go by train. And you don't need a car. You can get by without a car easily. And then we met up and met more relatives. And I have this picture on here just to show how wonderful it was to be with these people. They're just lovely, and they were so gracious to me. And I remember them very, very fondly. We spent the weekend there. We went into the beautiful city of Luzern. Switzerland's also German-speaking with a different accent. And we went hiking through the mountains and saw these cows. Yoni with the cow. And then this is the whole family together, again at breakfast. A wonderful time to sit and enjoy each other's company. And then this was at an evening meal, the same people. It's very common to eat outdoors, which I thought was so pleasant. They don't have bugs and they don't have humidity as well, so it's very pleasant to be outside. But that's my last picture. Again, I just want to reiterate particularly what the Rotary Club of Ulm did for me. They made this exchange just extraordinary, and I'm grateful to the Sister Cities Commission and to the City of New Ulm because like I said, in no other circumstance could I imagine meeting the people I met and getting to know the culture like I did and representing my hometown, which I was just very proud to do. I'm very proud to be from New Ulm, Minnesota.
Thank you. It's very informative, and it looks like you had a grand summer. Just a couple quick questions I have, and then we'll open it up to see if the commissioners are going to grill you further. To what degree do you feel your linguistic skills changed over the summer?
I had come in with, I would say, advanced German. I have my master's degree in German and have spent time prior to the summer in Germany. But I think there is no replacement for being 3 summers in a location in that language. And I became more and more comfortable as the summer went on.
And my other question is, what is your current career?
I am a teacher. I teach at Shoreland Lutheran High School in Kenosha, Wisconsin, north of Chicago. That's why I can't be in person today. I would have preferred that, but we have school today and tomorrow. And I teach German, and I teach history.
Commissioners, are there any other questions for Martha?
Thank you, Martha. This was absolutely wonderful. Very informative and interesting. Good job.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Looks like you had a fun-filled summer, and I'm glad we could accommodate and work with your schedule. And I'm glad you spoke up that the internship wasn't going the right direction and that you needed to, do that. But, that's, we don't want anybody to go away with a bad experience, and, so you made a win-win out of it, and you gained a ton of friends, it looks like, and
Yeah.
and great memories, so it looks like.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, at this time, we'll allow you to correct your papers from class. Thank you for your presentation. I'm glad the timing worked out that you could be with us at a regular commissioner meeting. Have a good evening.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. You too.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
According to my agenda, we have just a couple items to touch on. And under the topic of announcements, Hans-Jos information has been sent out by Lisa and city staff to colleges, high schools, places where we hope we can glean some good candidates for outbound. And the last item is our next meeting will be in this room December 1st. A motion to adjourn would be in order.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Thank you for attending.